It's crushing when a client rejects your proposal, especially after you've put in all of that work. But how you respond in that moment determines whether or not you're going to lose that prospect forever, or if you're just going to turn that no into a not right now. So here's what we're going to cover in this video. First, we're going to talk about the 3 components of a world-class response that can turn that no into simply a not now. One mistake you should never make, even though you have probably seen other people do it, and I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. And before we wrap up, I'm going to share with you the #1 thing that you can do to maximize your chances of winning this prospect back in the future. So let's dive in. The first thing to understand is that B2B decision makers really don't enjoy telling outside experts and service providers no. It's actually pretty uncomfortable for them. And in fact, a lot of times the reason that it's taking them so long to finally get back to you is because they're procrastinating. They don't want to let you down, and they have a terrible feeling in their stomach about having to tell you no. The last thing that you want to do is have a response back to that decision maker that exacerbates or maximizes that uncomfortable experience that the decision maker is already having. You don't want to associate that feeling to you and your brand. Instead, you want to respond in a way that has them feeling as positive as they possibly can about the exchange and not dreading future interactions with you. So we want to set you up for that future success. So with that in mind, here are the 3 components of a world-class response. #1, thank them for letting you know, and let them know that you recognize that it's never an easy decision and you appreciate how many priorities that they're having to juggle. #2, it's okay to let them know that you're genuinely disappointed, but tie that disappointment to something very specific about them, their team, or their brand. What was it that you were really looking forward to with that opportunity in particular? So you can say, Jane, honestly, we're super disappointed because we have so loved the energetic and passionate conversations that we've had with you and your team about transforming the culture inside of whatever the name of the organization is. Just be authentic and true with your words. And #3, you want to plant the seed for future opportunities, and it's going to sound something like this. Well, right now might not be the ideal time to work on X. If Y ever happens, we would love to be the first outside experts that you turn to. The key is that you have to be very specific as to what Y is. Is it that doing it internally hasn't worked out for them? Is it that their team has become too stretched? Or is it that the problem has gotten worse and it's reached this new level? The more specific you are, the more specific that seed is that has been planted in their mind. And here's why else this works so well. You have made this exchange really positive for the decision maker. You thanked them for letting you know. You have let them know how much you really enjoyed your time with them. And now you have planted the seed for the future on how you can continue working together one day down the road. And this makes the entire exchange for the decision maker one that they will remember and not put off reaching out to you in the future. So I promised at the outset to share with you something that you should never ever do when a decision maker has said no thank you, even though you may have seen a lot of other small business owners in the marketplace make this mistake. And that is to ask the decision maker what you could have done differently or better in order to have won their business. This is not a great thing to do, and I'm going to explain to you why, because I know you're wondering. The first reason is because it is not the decision maker's job to be your mentor or your coach. That is not their job, and they are incredibly incredibly busy. And so to ask them to give you this advice is just not something they have time for. Even more importantly, reason number 2 that you don't want to do this is because it shifts a power dynamic that is not in your favor. You are the outside expert. You are the thought leader, and you are the CEO and founder of your firm. If you are now asking your prospects and clients how you can be better at what you do, you have switched that power dynamic, which is going to hurt you in the future in a number of ways. It could, without them even realizing why, on a subconscious level, put you in a place that they don't have as much of an authority dynamic with you, where they see you as that outside respected authority, and they won't even necessarily tie it back to this. So this can really undermine you in the long term. And the third reason you don't want to ask this question is just a really practical one. Most of the time, it doesn't come down to one simple thing. It is a very complex decision. There are so many conversations that are going on behind the scenes inside of organizations. Why they decide to move forward sometimes, not move forward other times, it is not something that a decision maker can easily put a fine point on. But sometimes they feel obligated to answer this question because you asked. So they will pull something, one thing that maybe was or was not the ultimate reason. They're going to pull it out and they're going to share it with you. And you might put too much weight on that one thing that they decide to toss over the fence to you. And the last reason goes back to something we talked about earlier. This is actually a really uncomfortable conversation for a lot of decision makers to have. They do not enjoy telling people on the outside what they didn't do well. They don't even like telling their own employees that constructive feedback sometimes, let alone tell somebody that they don't have a long-term established relationship with and giving them that sort of spinach between the teeth conversation. So we said earlier, the last thing that you want to do with these decision makers is turn this process of them having to either say no or delaying something into the future. It's already uncomfortable for them. We don't want you making it even more uncomfortable for them. So that's why you don't want to ask these decision makers what you could have done differently in the future. Instead, stick with those 3 strategies that we shared with you in terms of creating a positive experience for the decision maker, and put all of your energy into clearly defining for them that exact moment in time in the future when they should be reaching out to you and your team. Now, you might be wondering, Angelique, is asking them what could I have done better the same as asking a prospect what was the deciding factor? And the answer to that is yes. It's the same question, just phrased differently. And we can't stress enough that we really don't recommend to our business owners that we're working with to leave that question alone. Here's what you can do instead in order to maximize the chances that these organizations, these decision makers, are going to work with you in the future. So here's what you want to make sure you don't do at this point. And that is to now ghost your prospect, to ghost this decision maker that has just said no thanks for now. The time is now to actually lean in and further deepen this relationship as much as possible. So you want to make sure you are inviting this decision maker to any upcoming opportunities there are for them to engage with you further. This might look like inviting them to your session at an upcoming conference that you're speaking at. It might look like inviting them to any upcoming masterclasses, webinars, or executive forums that you're hosting. It might be inviting them as a guest onto your podcast if you have one, or it might be interviewing them for a pulse survey or an insights paper that you're working on. A lot of times the instinct is, they said no, I'm going to leave them alone. The truth is, they've invested all of this time with you up until now to even get to a proposal, to even get to a point where they were saying no thank you. So now is the time to continue to educate them, give them insights, build a relationship with you, continue to share case studies with them. The more you continue to invest in that relationship, the greater the chances that they are going to come back to you as an even greater client in the future, especially if you have in fact followed these steps and made this no thanks an easy breezy, lemon squeezy exchange for them. All right, if this video was helpful for you, we have a ton of other videos that you wanna check out, and let me share with you the one that I recommend watching next. Now that we've talked about what to do in case a prospect says no thanks, go take a look now at my video on how to send a consulting or a coaching proposal to a prospect. That part of the process is going to help lower the chances that you even get to a no. And the link to that video is in the description right below. I will see you there.